cultivator's night hunts were frequently extravagant and ostentatious affairs, accompanied by whoops and hollers and thronging crowds. Lan Wangji, however, preferred to embark on them alone. Because the arm was both monstrous and abhorrent, a brief moment of inattention could easily bring disaster to others. Thus he did not take any of his clan's juniors or other disciples with him. His only company was Wei Wuxian, on whom he kept a closer and closer eye. In the beginning, Wei Wuxian had intended to use the investigation off-mountain as an opportunity to sneak away. But every one of his repeated attempts to escape resulted in Lan Wangji lifting him by his collar with one hand and hauling him back. Changing tactic, he began putting all his effort into clinging to Lan Wangji's person, especially at night. Wind and thunder could not stop him from climbing into the man's bed, hoping to disgust Lan Wangji until the man could no longer endure it, and severed their association with one swing of his sword, separating post-haste. But no matter whether Wei Wuxian's insanity flew north, south, east, or west, Lan Wangji remained steadfast and unmoving. Whenever the troublemaker wriggled into his bed, the man would lightly slap his back, and Wei Wuxian's entire body would stiffen. Lan Wangji would then stuff him in another bed and arrange him in a perfectly prim and proper position, in which he would stay until sunrise. Wei Wuxian suffered quite a bit. The next morning, he would wake up with an aching lower back and shaky legs, and whine incessantly. Certain thoughts inevitably rose within him. Now that this person's grown up, he's so much less fun. He used to get hilariously embarrassed when someone teased him, but now he's not only immune to it, he's also learned to strike back. This is ridiculous. Following the left hand's guidance, the two continued to travel northwest, playing tranquil lullaby together every day to temporarily relieve its killing intent and its fury. When the two approached Qinghe, the hand suddenly changed the pose it had long maintained. It ceased pointing and drew back its index finger, forming a fist. This meant the hand had been pointing to something nearby. They simultaneously walked and investigated, eventually arriving at a small town in Qinghe. It was daytime, and the streets were full of people going about their business, bustling with noise and excitement. Wei Wuxian was scampering along behind Lan Wangji when, suddenly, his nostrils were assaulted by a pungent aroma. Wei Wuxian was accustomed to the light sandalwood fragrance of Lan Wangji. Thus, when the scent stung his senses, he blurted out, "What in the world are you selling? The smell." The aroma came from someone draped in cultivation robes who had swindling, cheating quack written all over his face. He carried a case and was attempting to peddle various knickknacks to those passing by. Upon seeing someone approaching, he began merrily chattering. "I sell everything, rouges, liquids, and powders, cheap and high quality. Take a look, young master." "Sure, I'll look," Wei Wuxian said. "Buying on behalf of the lady of the house?" the quack asked. Wei Wuxian grinned. "It's for me," he said. The quack's smile froze. "Are you trying to mess with me?" Before the man's irritation could boil over, however, he saw another young man turn around, wearing a blank expression. "Do not cause trouble if you do not intend to make a purchase," he said. This man was beautiful and elegant in the extreme. His robes and head ribbon were whiter than snow. His irises were pale, and a long sword hung at his waist. The quack was a fake cultivator who knew little about cultivation and understood even less, but he recognized the emblem of the Gosulan clan. Afraid to act rashly, he pulled his case toward himself and ran away. "Why are you running? I really do want to buy something," Wei Wuxian called. "Do you have money?" Lan Wangji asked. "If I don't have any, you'll give me some." As Wei Wuxian spoke, he stuck his hand into Lan Wangji's robes. He hadn't expected to find anything, but after groping around for a bit, he pulled out an exquisite and heavy money pouch. The pouch didn't at all seem like something Lan Wangji would carry on his person, but these past several days, Lan Wangji had done more than one or two things that Wei Wuxian had thought unimaginable. Nonchalantly, Wei Wuxian took off, carrying the item. Sure enough, Lan Wangji allowed him to grab it and leave without uttering a single discontented word. If he didn't personally understand a little of Lan Wangji's character and clean, virtuous lifestyle, and if Han Guangjun's reputation wasn't so terrifyingly spotless, Wei Wuxian would have started to suspect Lan Wangji and Mo Shanyu of being involved in some kind of wild, untamable entanglement that they couldn't tear themselves away from. Or why else would Lan Wangji be able to endure even this level of outrageous behavior? After walking for a bit, Wei Wuxian unintentionally glanced back. He had thrown off Lan Wangji, and now the man was a great distance behind him, still standing where he originally stood, gazing in his direction. Wei Wuxian's steps involuntarily slowed. He didn't know why, but he had a faint feeling within his heart that he shouldn't have walked so fast and abandoned Lan Wangji so far behind him. Then someone nearby him started shouting, "Healing Patriarch, 5 wen a sheet, 10 wen for 3. "Who?" Wei Wuxian exclaimed. He rushed over to see who was selling him, and lo and behold, it was a fake cultivator from earlier. He had packed up his shoddy rouges and powders and replaced them with a stack of stick-on papers on which fiends and ghouls more fearsome than gate guards were drawn. The man chattered on. 5 wen 1 sheet, 10 wen 3 sheets. At this price, you can't possibly be cheated. Best to buy 3, 1 for the entrance gate, 1 for the main hall, and 1 for right above your bed. Positively thick with malicious energy. Use poison to fight poison, and evil to fight evil. Not a single kind of ghost, demon, or monster will dare come near you. Guaranteed. Your bullshit stinks so much, even heaven can smell it, Wei Wuxian said. If they're really so effective, why are you selling them for 5 wen each? The quack said, "Why is it you again? If you're going to buy it, then buy it. If not, go away. If you want to spend 50 wen per sheet, I'm happy to take it." Wei Wuxian flipped through the stack of evil-suppressing, healing patriarch portraits and was utterly unable to make peace with the fact that the fiendish, bulgy-eyed brute with big, veiny muscles that they depicted was supposed to be him. Ardently, he argued for truth. Wei Wuxian was famous, far and wide, for being a beautiful man. What the hell is this? Just because you've never seen him doesn't mean you can just draw whatever you want. You're spreading lies to the younger generation. Just as the quack was about to speak, Wei Wuxian suddenly felt the wind from an imminent attack sweep in from behind him. He dodged sideways. Although he had successfully dodged, the swindling quack went flying and smashed into someone's street-side pinwheel stand. Some bystanders helped him up, while others picked up the fallen merchandise. The entire area was thrown into confusion. The quack intended to berate his attacker, but upon seeing the one who had kicked him was a wealthy and respectable young master, covered from head to toe in glittering golden light, his imperious attitude deflated somewhat. Glancing at the boy a second time, he saw the sparks amid snow, white peony, embroidered on his chest, and his attitude deflated entirely. However, he still couldn't stomach being kicked for no reason, so he asked feebly, "Why did you kick me?" The young master was none other than Jinling. Crossing his arms, the boy said coldly, "Kick you? Anyone who dares utter the name Wei-Wuxian around me should kneel before me in gratitude if I don't kill them." And here you were, shrieking and hollering it in the middle of the street. Are you looking to die? Wei-Wuxian hadn't expected Jinling to turn up here, much less that Jinling would be so arrogant and dictatorial as this. What's wrong with this child? How did he become so vicious and short-tempered? He's stubborn and arrogant and thinks everyone is beneath him. Excellent job picking up his uncle and his father's flaws, but he hasn't acquired half a speck of his mother's virtues. If I don't rough him up a bit, he'll pay for it big time, sooner or later. Seeing that Jinling didn't seem done venting his anger and had closed in a couple of paces on the fallen man, Wei-Wuxian interrupted. "Jinling!" The quack didn't dare make a peep, but his eyes were filled with 1,000 thanks, and his gaze overflowed with gratitude. Sure enough, Jinling turned toward Wei-Wuxian, voice full of disdain. "You haven't run away yet? Fine." Wei-Wuxian laughed. "Oh yeah, who was it again that got pressed to the ground and couldn't get up last time?" he asked. Jinling sneered, then blew a short whistle. At first, Wei-Wuxian had no idea what the gesture meant, but after a moment, he suddenly heard the heavy panting of an animal coming from the distance. Turning his head, he saw a black-maned spirit dog, half the height of a man, swing around the corner and bound directly toward him. Along the street, the cries of fear grew louder and louder and nearer and nearer. "A vicious curse on the loose," people shouted. Abruptly, Wei-Wuxian's coloring changed. He broke into a run and fled. The Yiling patriarch was unable to speak of it without shame, but though people said he was invincible and could sweep away all that stood against him, in reality, whenever he caught sight of a dog, terror would seize him. There was no helping it. When he was a child, before he had been taken in by Zhang Fengmian, he was forced to fend for himself and frequently had no option but to steal food from beneath the jaws of feral hounds. He had been bitten, slashed, and chased, suffering many times under tooth and claw. Gradually, he grew deathly frightened of all manner of dogs, big or small, and had endured no small amount of Zhang Cheng's mockery for it. Not only was speaking of this embarrassing, few would believe it. Thus, it was not widely known. Wei-Wuxian's soul had already nearly flown from his body and scattered to the winds when a figure of white jade appeared before his eyes. Hastily, he let out a heart-rending, lung-rupturing cry. "Lan Chan, save me!" Jinling had chased Wei-Wuxian all the way over, and his face lost all its color when he ran into the terrifying sight of Lan Wangji. Why was this lunatic with him again? Lan Wangji's conduct was solemn, and his speech and manner were meticulous and formal. Many cultivators of his own generation felt nervous in his presence, let alone his juniors. He was even more intimidating than Lan Qiren had been in the old days. The dog was far from ordinary and very intelligent, and having been strictly trained, it seemed to know not to behave so atrociously in front of him. It whimpered a few times, then hid behind Jinling with its tail tucked between its legs. Jinling's black-maned spirit dog was of a rare species, and it had been given to him by Jin Guangyao. An ordinary person, upon hearing that the animal was a gift from Lian Fengzun, wouldn't dare offend its owner, But Lan Wangji was no ordinary person. He paid no heed to the background of the dog's owner, nor the identity of the man who had given it to him, and would treat Jinling according to how the boy deserved to be treated. Since Jinling had been caught chasing someone down the street with his dog, his heart filled with dread, he thought to himself, I'm dead. He's going to kill my spirit dog, who took so much effort to train, and then beat me senseless. However, Wei Wuxian squeezed himself under Lan Wangji's arm and behind his back, and longed to climb the tall jade pole that was Lan Wangji's body, to climb it until he reached the heavens. Upon feeling Wei Wuxian's arms wrapped around him, Lan Wangji seemed to stiffen from head to toe. Taking advantage of the opportunity thus provided, Jinling blew a couple short whistles again and bolted with his spirit dog in tow. The quack, who had fallen nearby, struggled to stand up, fear still lingering within him. Society's morals rot day by day, he said. The big clan's children these days are unbelievable. Unbelievable. When Wei Wuxian heard the dog's barks fade into the distance, he circled out from behind Lan Wangji. As though nothing had happened, he placed his hands behind his back and spoke approvingly. Exactly. Society's morals rot day by day, and sadly, the people of today are degenerates. To the quack, seeing Wei Wuxian now was like seeing his savior. He repeated Wei Wuxian's words over and over in agreement, and in a show of gratitude, tossed the stack of evil-suppressing, healing patriarch portraits into Wei Wuxian's hands as though it were a hot mountain yam. Brother, thank you for your help just now, he said. Thank you. Treat the entire stack as a token of my gratitude. You could sell the pictures at a discount, 3 yen apiece, and you'll still earn at least 300. Lan Wangji glanced at the portrait of the ferocious brute and withheld any comment. Seeing the prize for himself in freefall, Wei Wuxian was caught halfway between laughing and crying. What kind of gift of gratitude is this? He asked. If you want to thank me, draw him prettier next time. Hold on, don't leave. I need to ask you about something. Since you've been doing business here, have you heard of any strange happenings? Or seen anything odd? Strange things, the quack replied. You found the right person. I've lived here a long time. People call me Jing He's walking encyclopedia. What kind of strange things? For example, hauntings, dismembered corpses, household massacres, those kind of things, Wei Wuxian said. The quack replied, There's nothing like that here. But if you head forward 250 kilometers, there's a mountain ridge called Xinglu Ridge. I strongly recommend you to avoid it. Why? Wei Wuxian asked. This Xinglu Ridge is named the Man-Eating Ridge. You tell me why you should avoid it.